Hey Singapore, this is Manchester United legend Lee Sharp. Stay locked on with the guys on SportsZone, only on 938 Live.
From 938 Live.
This is Formula One driver Fernando Alonso.
Hi Singapore, I'm Jürgen Klinsmann.
Hi, I'm Martin Tyler.
This is Annika Sorensen.
Hi Singapore, this is Johnny Wilson. You're locked on to the best in sports. Cheers.
You're listening to Singapore's longest running and only sports talk show on radio, 15 years and still going strong. A good Saturday to you and welcome to SportsZone on 938 Live. I'm Noah Tan and joining me as my co-host today is Noor Farhan.
Well, thanks, Noah. And looking at the program we have for you today, we have two sets of guests appearing on two segments of the show. In the first half, we'll be talking about the upcoming European and Asian PJ-sanctioned golf tournament, which is taking place at Laguna National next week.
That's right, Farhan. And in the second part of the show, we'll chat with the two Singaporean girls who represented the country at the Bodyflight World Indoor Challenge in the United Kingdom, along with the founder of iFly Singapore, Lawrence Koh.
All right, let's get straight down to the show because we have a special guest on the line right now, all the way from the United Kingdom, waiting to speak to us about the championship at Laguna National. And that man is David Cicletera, who is the chairman of Parallel Media Group, or PMG, and they're the official promoters of this tournament, which is known as the championship at Laguna National.
Hi David, this is Noah. Thanks for taking the time out to join us on SportsZone, David. We'll try to keep this short and sweet because I know it's just about 4 o'clock in the morning over in the UK.
David.
Good morning.
Good morning, David. Right.
So David, the first question I have to ask is, why was Singapore chosen to host the event? Why not Malaysia or Indonesia or even Japan?
Well, there was really no choice because Singapore, in my view, has some of the best facilities in the region. I've known Peter Cui at Laguna National for many years, and we used to promote together the Caltex Singapore Masters on the European Tour. So when we had to choose a venue at relatively short notice, to me, Singapore had everything we needed for the tournament, and it was just a natural choice, really.
So how do you think the championship at Laguna National will differentiate itself from other golfing events locally or around the region?
Well, first of all, it's got a great venue. Players love coming to Singapore. And as you know, you've not had a men's tournament for a couple of years. And for me, the reaction from especially the European Tour players who had to change their flights and things at pretty short notice. In fact, we've had a lot of extra players want to come. I think there's also something that we should talk about, that the field is slightly different from normal. We have not only just European Tour and Asian Tour players, but we have a 20 Koreans joining the field because the championship's previously been played in Korea. And we've also got, very excitingly, 6 Singaporeans, including Mada Mamat, who won the Singapore Caltex Masters several years ago, and a local up-and-coming star, Lam Chi Bing.
Oh, great. You mentioned the tournament being held in Korea previously, and it was called the Ballantines Championship. It was held in South Korea for the last 6 years. So why wasn't the event staged in the country again?
Well, we had some last-minute unfortunate issues with the venue, and they were very last-minute, something that was beyond anybody's control. And it's the holiday weekend, as you know, around the region, and to get another course at such short notice was just so difficult in Seoul. And I'd been thinking about bringing back a European Tour event to Singapore, and we're also promoters with Peter of the Prudential Causeway Trophy. So we're actually at the press launch for this year's Causeway Trophy, and it all just happened within, actually the decision took 5 minutes for Peter and I to talk about it, and we just said, let's bring it to Singapore. So I'm really delighted to be back in Singapore.
All right then, David. Hi, I'm Farhan, and I'd like to ask, now, top players from the European Tour and Asian Tour are expected to take part in the tournament. Now, so how will having some of the biggest golfers from Europe and Asia play in Singapore benefit the sport in the country?
Well, I think it's very important that the golf in Singapore, especially men's golf in Singapore, has a major tournament. This is a period when you have a new sports hub. Your government and everybody's very keen to promote sport in your country. And I think if you think about the golf is changing because golf enters the Olympics in 2016. So there's a lot of interest in Asia to develop young golfers for the future. And to me, it's your golden jubilee next year as a country, and there'll be lots of things that Singapore will be doing on a world stage, and it would be. To me, it's very important that you have a world-class golf tournament to complement those fantastic facilities that are going to be at the Sports Hub. The other thing is, I think that kids, they just love seeing role models, and we're going to be having a junior clinic, especially for kids, which is going to be sponsored by Prudential as part of their young golfers program. And so we're going to have some of the European stars teaching young kids, and I think it's those kids who will be looking forward to in the future to potentially become players who would one day be playing for Singapore in the Olympics.
All right, then, before we go, though, David, the Singapore Open tournament, which was previously a mainstay in the country, is now no longer around due to a lack of funding. Now, so looking ahead, how confident are you that the championship at Laguna National can be sustained annually?
Actually, I'm pretty confident because the structure of this tournament is slightly different from the Singapore Open and some of the other tournaments that are in the region. I've always been a believer in having a family of various sponsors. We have a huge supporting host venue in Laguna National. That's all thanks to the Kui family. But we've already had significant interest from some of our new sponsors and sponsors who want to become involved in the tournament for next year. So I believe that it's going to be an exciting week for me next week, not just to be at the tournament, but we'll be talking to lots of brands, some of them national, some of them international, all of whom want to become involved in this tournament because it's Jubilee year next year, and I think they understand that if there's a team of people behind a tournament, a group of people, a family, then you won't face those issues when, quite naturally, sponsors change. And so when Barclays decided to change from being a golf sponsor to not being a golf sponsor, it was a very big number to follow up. So hopefully we will be creating a sustainable model that will be there for years to come.
And on that note, David, thanks for speaking to us live from the United Kingdom, and we wish you all the best of success for next week's golf extravaganza at Laguna. And that was David Ciclatera, who's the chairman of Parallel Media Group, or PMG. They are the official promoters of this tournament, which is known as the Championship at Laguna National. You're listening to SportsZone on 938 Live, and today we turn the focus on the high-profile golf tournament that will be happening next Thursday onwards, which is known as the Championship at Laguna National. And if you've just joined us, well, we just spoke to the chairman of Parallel Media Group, David Ciclatera, over the phone from the UK earlier to discuss the event.
And to continue the discussion, we have in the studio with us right now Patrick Bowers, who's the CEO of Laguna National. Now, Patrick, I understand there will be 6 Singaporean players competing in the tournament next week. Now, firstly, tell us a bit about who they are and how they were selected to take part in the tournament.
Morning, Noah. Morning, Farhan. Pleased to be here. Yeah, we're really excited. Most tournaments obviously have exemptions for local players, and along with our promoter, we were able to secure 5 exemptions, which went to the top 5 players in the Singapore PGA rankings. So you'll see the likes of Quincy Kwek, Lam Chi Bing, Ko Deng Sheng, Lam Zi Quinn, and Po Eng Wah will be playing, alongside of some of the more well-known names who make Singapore home, like Martin Mamat, who David mentioned earlier, as well as Zha Mo, who's resided here since 1993.
Right now, the star names you mentioned, Mardan, Chi Bing, Quincy, they're all pro golfers. Now, how will the experience of playing with some of the best in the world help the other 3 or 4 Singaporeans develop into stronger players?
Yeah, great question. Well, you know, professionals in any sport really want to elevate their game. And the way to elevate their game, be it golf, be it Formula One racing, or be it tennis, for example, is to play with professionals and alongside professionals that have skills that are perhaps greater than theirs or experience that is greater than theirs. So certainly playing alongside multiple European Tour winners, multiple Asian Tour winners will definitely help them elevate their game.
You know, I've always thought that you don't actually know how good you are until you play with the world's best. What do you have to think about that?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. You know, these guys strive to improve their game all the time, and it's a very solo sport in golf. You only have one person to blame, and that's yourself. But when you play alongside professionals who are much better, your game naturally has a tendency to elevate.
Okay, now although there are several huge international names who are expected to compete, I won't name names. Do you think there's a chance that a local player could actually win this 1.5 million US dollar tournament, like Lam Chi Bing or Madan Mahmat, for example?
Well, I do. I mean, all a player has to have is 4 great days. Obviously, those of us that play golf know it's tough to string together 4 great rounds. But think of Madan Mahmat, for example. He won the event in 2006, sort of coming out of nowhere, although he was well known as a good player. Chi Bing has played in the Open Championship before, so he's certainly got high-level experience. And you look back to the PGA Tour last year, more than 25% of the winners were first-time winners, so it can definitely happen.
And now, Patrick, could you tell us more about the Masters course in general? What can we expect when the golfers take to the course next week?
Sure. Well, the Masters course is traditionally known for its really slick greens, so they'll be featured again, obviously. And it's a traditional layout, parkland style, so birdies and even eagles will be really important to playing and scoring well on the course.
And tell us a bit more about how Laguna National is preparing for the event. I mean, it's happening in about 5 days' time. Are the preparations complete? And do walk us through how a golf course is prepared to host such a high-profile event.
Sure. Well, if you were to ask the staff right now, they'd say they'd always love more time. But really, there's 2 ways you prepare. There's course conditioning, of course, which is where the players are. But there's also operational readiness. You know, we'll have a lot of guests, a lot of VIPs, hopefully a lot of spectators coming through. So the course conditioning is fairly straightforward, but is a lot of work. You know, we've had a drought in Singapore that's been the worst in 300 years, actually. So up until a few weeks ago, the courses were getting no rain. It includes equipment, conditioning, fertilizing, cutting the golf course differently so that it plays differently, rolling the greens and things like that. On the operational readiness side, obviously you need to plan. You know, we've got VIP hospitality every day. There's co-sponsor hospitality coming through. There's the players caddies. And we have media from probably 65, 70 different countries from around the world will descend on Singapore to take part in this event as well. So you've got to be prepared for all that.
Well, touching on the topic of the media, this event is expected to be shown on television with a potential audience of over 450 million people from 60 different countries. Now, do you think this global amount of publicity for Laguna National will lead to further world-renowned events being staged at the golf course in future?
I do. It really fits beautifully with our strategy. I mean, we have a goal to offer, obviously, at our club, a superior golf club and country club experience. But we also have a goal to support the Singapore tourism infrastructure, of which major events are obviously a part of that. So we really look to host events of a regional significance. So things like the Prudential Causeway Trophy, which is Singapore versus Malaysia, is part of that strategy. But then, obviously, events of international significance are very important. We spoke about the past championships. Singapore hosts the Formula One, and there's no reason why they shouldn't host a major male and female professional golf event.
Well, Patrick, let's face it, there's a pretty short lead-up time to the tournament, and with the sports-packed calendar, you know, top names like Rory McIlroy and Ernie Els will not be able to make it. Now, if the event is staged again next year, do you think we'll be able to see these top stars come to Singapore?
Sure. Well, you know, there's a hugely competitive schedule, obviously. Short lead-up time means players have not had a chance to adjust their schedule. But there's more than 60 of the top 200 players in the world coming to Singapore, so that's important. Multiple tour winners. But yes, it absolutely will. I mean, by 2016, we'll have a beautiful new hotel up on the site. We'll probably move the event to the infamous World Classic course. And that means players will plan their schedule around events like Singapore and courses like Laguna National and events like the Championship. So there will definitely be the opportunity to attract more of the best in the world in the future.
Now, I understand there is as yet no confirmation that the tournament will be held in Singapore on a long-term basis. Why is that? I mean, and what are some of the factors that the organisers will be looking at in deciding if the tournament is a success or not?
Well, fair question. That's not really for me to decide. We try and play the gracious host. The promoters are the ones who take the risk and run the event. But we support and embrace any opportunity that comes along. We expect that it will be extended, and we look forward to supporting it in whatever form it comes forward as. And the schedules are very tight, as you know. There's very few weeks available on any of the professional tours, and to be blessed with one in Singapore is great.
Now, back to the topic of how this tournament will have an impact on the local scene. How popular do you think the sport of golf is in Singapore in general? I mean, how much potential do you think there is for the popularity of the sport to grow in this country?
Well, proportionately in Singapore, the sport is more popular than most nations, meaning the amount of players compared to the population. So it's actually quite popular here. The issue, as in many places, is obviously you need to have instruction, you need to have accessibility, and that's key to promoting the game in the future.
And finally, before you go, tell us on a personal level which golfer out of the 156 strong field you'd be looking forward to seeing on the course at Laguna National next week.
Any favorites? Any particular? Come on.
Well, guys, you're putting me on the spot now. But obviously, I think Brett Rumford, keep an eye out for him. He's got 5 wins and a past champion of this event. Very interestingly, the European Tour invited Nick Doherty, who was a past winner of the Singapore Masters when it was played there, and don't count out Kiradek Apibarnrat, who's one of the number 1 Asian players that's coming from Thailand.
So is that your prediction then for the winner of the tournament?
If forced to make a prediction, I'll choose Bernd Wiesberger. He's the highest ranked player, and he's a past champion, and he finished tied for second in Malaysia just last week.
Alright, and that's all the time we have for you in part 1 of SportsZone. Patrick Bowers, CEO of Laguna National, thanks very much for coming in today to talk about the championship at Laguna National, which is taking place next Thursday to Sunday. And coming up after the news, we'll be with the indoor skydiving team from iFly Singapore, who competed at the Body Flight World Challenge and even won a historic silver medal. So stay tuned, because it's all happening right here on SportsZone, only on 938 Live.
Hi Singapore, this is Richie McCaw, captain of the New Zealand All Blacks, and you're mauling with the best in sports on 938 Live.
Welcome back to part 2 of SportsZone on 938 Live. I'm Noah Tan, together with my colleague Noor Farhan. And as we get straight down to the second segment of the show. Now, if you've just joined us, in the first half, we spoke to the chairman of Parallel Media Group, David Ciclatera, as well as the CEO of Laguna National, Patrick Bowers, about the upcoming high-profile golf event, the Championship at Laguna National, which is happening this coming Thursday. And in the second half of the show, we'll talk about a different sport altogether. And it's one of the most unique sports in Singapore, isn't it, Farhan?
Yeah, it's as unique as it gets, Noah, and the sport is, of course, indoor skydiving. And joining us in the studio today is the indoor skydiving team from iFly Singapore. They consist of 12-year-old Chu Yishen, 11-year-old Kira Po, and the founder of iFly Singapore, Lawrence Koh. Welcome to SportsZone, guys.
Hi.
Right, and Kira and Yishan are, of course, not new to SportsZone. They've come onto the show before. So on that note, let's start the ball rolling with Lawrence. Now, you're the founder of iFly Singapore and also a skydiving instructor. Now, for the benefit of our listeners, tell us a bit more about how the Body Flight World Challenge came about, and how exactly do you score points, and how are you guys being judged?
Yeah. A little bit on the Body Flight World Challenge. It is currently the longest standing indoor skydiving world competition. It has been around for about 9 years already. This year's competition, there's over 100 teams that sign up, and there was about 25 countries that joined. So it's actually quite a big event. And countries like USA, France, Dubai, Russia, Czech Republic, and so on. The prices is about £20,000 in total, and there are 3 categories. One is a two-way free fly, open, the dynamic two-way, and the four-way formation skydiving. We sent 2 teams across for the two-way free fly and the dynamic two-way. So on the two-way free fly that our girls and our instructors has joined, the judging criteria is more of artistic. So they will have to do their own routine, design their own routine, and then the judges will see how artistic is their routine is.
What do you mean by two-way free fly? Do you mean that you have one of you guys strapped on the back, or it's just 2 guys doing your own thing?
Strapping on the back is tandem. This is indoor sky.
Okay, yeah.
Just kidding. The team of 2 will be flying together in synchronized mode. So they choreograph the whole maneuver within the time given, and that's how the judge will give them the points in terms of difficulty, in terms of appearance, is it nice, and so on.
Now, has the sport though grown in popularity since the founding in Singapore? When was it actually, by the way?
In Singapore?
Yeah.
I think since iFly Singapore founded in 2011, because it was not a recognized sports I mean, no one know about indoor skydiving until I Fly Singapore comes to Singapore. But whereas in the whole world, it has been since maybe the 1990s. So we have so far flew over 200,000 people for the past 3 years. This coming May is our anniversary.
All right.
So 3 years, 200,000 people is quite good. And then usually now people for the past 3 years, the pickup rate are first timers, people for birthday parties, corporate, education. But we have this about 20% of them are return flyers, and we have about 10% who are the hardcore indoor skydivers that constantly come back to Singapore, to iFly Singapore to train.
Is there a local, like a club team though, like where you guys just do indoor skydiving together?
We have formed this membership club.
Okay.
And yes, so every quarterly we'll do something like Skydiver Night. So when they come to the Skydiver Night, so they get to gather together. It's like building a skydiving community in iFly Singapore every quarter.
Okay, but so there are quite a few people who take up indoor skydiving, but are any of them thinking of going competitive?
Oh, actually, because they already pick up as a sports, because it is a structured program to go into such a discipline. So every one of them actually wants to do the competition, and that's the reason why every quarter we organize a Skydiver Night, incorporating a competition. So that's in Singapore. Every quarter we have a competition, where sending teams across the world to join. I guess the local skydivers may be looking for sponsorship before they go overseas. Whereas for us, we sponsor the teams that we have been training to go to UK.
I see. All right. Now, on to the youngest guest in our studio, Kira. Now, I'm sure there must have been quite a bit of pressure going into a worldwide competition like the Body Flight World Challenge. So, at just, are you 11 or 12 this year?
I'm 11.
Still
I'm 12.
12 this year. So, how did you prepare yourself mentally for the pressure?
Well, usually out of the tunnel, we use Power Ranger figurines to practice so that we can visualize it in our minds. But before I go in for each round, I'll usually picture it so that I would not forget once I go inside the tunnel.
Oh, so you actually have Power Rangers figurines to
how
practice
do you do
your...
that actually?
Usually, we use them, and each person will have one so that we can move it around and we can visualize how we're going to do it inside the tunnel.
So it helps you to choreograph the whole sequence first at first lah. Okay, so tell us a bit more about your silver winning performance with instructor Christopher Reynolds,
who's not here today, of course.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what went right for you all?
Actually, everything went smoothly except for the last round where I almost forgot.
Forgot what?
The routine, the round that I was supposed to do. But luckily, Uncle Chris helped me. And for this category, we were supposed to be as fast as possible. So, because I was small and we're flying at a much faster wind speed, Uncle Chris put me in first position so that we will be much faster.
Okay, and so was it a surprise when you found out you achieved second place?
Yes, it was a very, very big surprise, as I was competing against people who were twice and thrice my age, and we celebrated by going to Stonehenge.
Stonehenge?
In London.
Oh, okay, interesting. And what do you do at Stonehenge? How?
We actually popped champagne and celebrate, but obviously I
But
didn't
you can't drink.
I didn't drink.
Okay.
I drank all of it.
All right.
You drank on a behalf, celebrated on a behalf.
Yeah, what did you do with the $1,000 prize money? If I was 12, I'd buy a lot of stuff with $1,000.
I'll buy more Power Ranger figurines.
but what did you guys use the money for?
I think I had 1/4 of the money, but I haven't really decided.
Oh, so it's still sitting somewhere before you decide what to do with it.
I think.
All right, now let's head over to 12-year-old Ishan here. Now, what did you think of the whole experience of competing in the Body Flight World Challenge? And what did you learn from it?
We met a lot of new friends there who are also indoor skydivers from Dubai, UK and Russia. The people there are really nice and friendly. Not like those kind of people that I hate you, you hate me, those kind
Oh, okay.
competition, yeah. and they were very helpful. They share some tips on how to fly better.
Are they all of the same age group as you, or were they like
No, they are all
a
older
wide
than
range?
us.
Now, you're 1 year older than Kira, so did you feel the need to play a role of an elder sister and take the lead when competing, or is it the other way around?
No, because we're actually less than a year.
Okay.
The difference.
Okay.
So we actually use each other's strength instead, and it's like sometimes I help her, she help me, but we will now like try to train each other's strength so we can become a better flyer. So next time when we are in the competition, we know how to do.
Alright, that's really nice. Now, your Team Firefly, comprised of yourself and Kira. Now, amazingly, you all did better than your instructors in the two-way free fly open. It must have been quite an experience to be better than your instructors. What do you think about that?
We have actually an advantage because we are the youngest in the team and we are the only girls team. So we tend to be much smaller, so it's easier for us to fly around. And also, we have a very different style of flying. When our flying style are more of those graceful type. Yeah.
So you're saying your instructors are not graceful at all?
No, but because we are girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just to check, you mentioned a lot of people were much older than you. Were they surprised to see like two of you over there? I mean,
Actually
two young girls.
not.
No.
Because in free fly, we're not. They don't usually say like, oh, you're a small kid, so we don't want to fly with you. It actually depends on like your skill, and as long as you can fly at their wind speed, so then it's okay.
I see. Alright, back to you, Lawrence. We haven't mentioned the other instructor, Joshua Tay, yet. What were his thoughts about the whole experience and the results of the Body Flight World Indoor Challenge?
It's a pity he can't come today, but I think Joshua, he started in IFI Singapore being, being an instructor being his one of his first few jobs. Obviously, no other Singaporean has experience in being an instructor. So he has this passion in flying. So and he was one of our first batch of instructor and has this great potential in him. So that's why we chose him to be one of the competitors. And he's also one of our trainers. So I think it's a very big exposure. And I think he shared with me that it's a huge exposure for him, and he has learned quite a lot of things there, including even interacting with other world-class skydivers on their coaching skills. So he actually able to bring back this experience and share with his other colleagues.
Wow, okay. So overall, I would say the trip turned out to be quite a bit of a success. I mean, but what made you decide to send the two teams down for the Body Flight World Challenge in the first place, especially given that, both Kira and Ishan are rather young?
I mean, you're going in without any expectations and all that, just going for fun, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Actually, that's quite true. I didn't have any expectation. I think what's important in the beginning is how do we build confidence in the team. And also, since the team has been with us for 3 years already, Kira Isha has been with us for 3 years, and my instructors have been with me also for a long time. I think it's also 3 years because of the IFI Singapore is founded in 2011. It is time for them to see the world in a way that there's other bigger competition other than IFI Singapore. So that's something that I want them to go there, learn about other how the other competition works, and to compete and gain confidence and learn to have to get more experience to share with their colleagues.
Yeah, exactly, because you don't know how good you are until you try out, you compete against the world's best.
Yeah, of course. The other thing is I also want Singapore to know that actually indoor skydiving is a sport. Because a lot of people who come to IFI Singapore is thought, hey, it's just a chill, it's just a ride. I just go for 1.5 minutes flight and that's it. And that's the end. But actually it's a sport, just like any other sport. You require training, there's competition to it, and so on.
All right. Now, on that note, we'll be going for a quick traffic update. But when we come back, we'll continue our chat with the indoor skydiving team from iFly Singapore. Time now for Traffic Watch.
Hey Singapore, this is former Liverpool and Real Madrid winger Steve McManaman. You're locked onto SportsZone on 938 Live.
Welcome back to the final stretch of SportsZone as we catch up with our guests from the indoor skydiving team from iFly Singapore. So let's not waste any time and get right back into our chat. Now, Kira, you're in Primary 6 this year and you'll be sitting for your PSLE. So I'm sure there must be quite a lot of studying for you to do. How do you juggle between your studies and training?
There's not so much to juggle on because the trainings are usually on Friday, as Ishan is in the sports school and it's a boarding school, so she can only come to iFly on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So usually I'll do my homework on in the afternoon before I go to iFly. And after the trip, my teachers are also very, very helpful, and they even stayed back with me to help me catch up on my work.
But isn't it a bit tiring? I mean, you've got to study, you've got homework,
and then you've got to fly.
Yeah, you've got training.
Well, actually, iFly relieves my stress from like PSLE and stuff. And I really enjoy it because it makes me feel like as free as a bird.
Alright, that's really nice. But what do your friends have to say about it? I mean, it's not a really common hobby.
My friends think that it's really cool, and some of my friends even have tried it before. And one of my friends is in the kids club.
Alright, now Ishan, so we asked Kira how she was coping with training for a major competition. So the same question to you. You're taking you're in secondary 1 this year at the sports school. So weren't you afraid of leaving lesser time for your studies, in order to concentrate on your training?
No. Actually, my parents are very supportive of me doing this indoor skydiving, and also every time after my evening training on Fridays at sports school, my father will send me from sports school to Sentosa for iFly training. And also sometimes we'll bring our homework to iFly to do during our break time, and our instructors help us in it.
Have they tried the whole thing as well? Your folks, have they tried indoor skydiving, or are they too...
Never tried.
Okay. Right, now speaking of training, tell us a bit about your training sessions. How long does it last, and what do all of you do during training?
We train at least 3 to 4 times a week since February, and sometimes during training we'll split to routine and dynamic. And also because our partners are instructors, so every time before that we will need to, for dynamic, we have to split into 2 groups and also train for dynamic thing with the Power Rangers.
Oh, so that's kind of like your warm-up. You plan what to do with the dolls and then go inside and do the real thing.
And also sometimes we have this campfire.
Campfire?
Yeah, about 10 minutes before our flight, we will have this campfire, so we settle down and think about what we're supposed to do in the tunnel.
Yeah, but not really a real campfire.
Yeah, sort of a group meeting of sorts.
Ishan, now there were many participants from all over the world coming down to take part in the Body Flight World Challenge. Did you make any friends from overseas, and was it an eye-opener to see so many like-minded people from different countries come together for the sport?
Yeah, because there is also from Dubai, there's also kids there, they also participate in dynamic. So we also have seen them before because of the previous World Challenge in Singapore. And they actually the father of it actually helped us by giving us some tips also.
Right. Does that mean you guys got new Facebook friends as well? I mean, these competitors.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, on to you, Lawrence. Given that the teams did extremely well in the Body Flight World Challenge, can we expect iFly Singapore to continue sponsoring more participants for competitions in future?
Oh yes, of course. First, we will be looking out for more ambassadors, including at the kids category, because I think the sports have to start young. I mean, it's good to start young. It's not have to start young, because currently a lot of our, almost 60% of our clientele is the adults and 40% the kids. But we've tried to start the sports young. So we are looking into such sponsorship, into ambassadorship again, and then send them overseas. And at the same time, we also be sending our instructors for such competitions.
Okay, now I understand that the two teams had the opportunity to train with other indoor skydivers in the UK. So how was that experience for them?
Personally, I was there, and I think it's great. Able to mingle and talk to world-class sportsmen, and the sportsmanship they've shown has been fantastic. What I'm quite happy about is even if they, during the competition, the point system, they even if they lose, they will still come over and say hi, let's be friends and congratulate each other.
Very gracious.
Yeah, very gracious. Even not the rounds are not completed yet. They are not like putting down people, because there's 10 rounds. So every round you'll know you are leading or not leading. So
yeah, I can't help but notice the community feel with all this. It doesn't matter whether you win or you lose. Is that the case?
Yes. This is the sportsmanship that we want. We are there for the experience, for the competition, not about the winning. I mean, with the sportsmanship that we go into, and with the thoughts that we want to try our best, I think then the results will come.
Well, what about you, Kira? What's your most memorable experience during your trip to the UK?
Well, actually, my most memorable experience was getting to meet new friends like the Hurricane Factory team, and they also have kids and adults from there, and they're from Prague. And I also like playing with the people from Dubai, and like what Ishan said, we have already met them, so we are like good friends with them. And I also like going there and learning tricks from all the other competitors, as they have some special tricks that even we don't know that existed.
Right, and Yishan, what do you learn from your trip to the UK? How is it different from what you've learned so far?
I think one of the biggest problems is to adjust the wind speed in UK. As Singapore wind tunnel is new, there isn't a lot of turbulence, whereas the one in UK is very challenging to get used to it.
But eventually you got used to it, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm sure there's quite a few differences between indoor skydiving and outdoor skydiving. Now, Kira, have you done outdoor skydiving before?
I've not done it before because I'm actually too young. But one of my goals that I'm planning to do is to actually try an outside and jump off a real plane.
Yeah, and Yishan, is it the same for you? You've never tried it before? Or perhaps one day you'd like to take part in outdoor skydiving competitions instead?
Yes, I would love to, because I think it's something that I want to experience one day.
Right. Okay. How did you two start in the sport? I mean, what drew you into the sport in the first place? Maybe we start with you, Kira.
Actually, my mother helped iFly Singapore do their advertisements, so they needed some people to help them with. So I was allowed to bring one of my friends. So my closest friend was Ishan. So I asked her whether she wanted to accompany me. And after that, we grew a lot of interest for this sport, and we really enjoyed it. And Uncle Lawrence could see interest in us.
And you, Ishan, how did you start?
As what she mentioned, we actually met each other through swimming. So it was quite an experience that I get to follow her to iFly, and then Uncle Lawrence groomed us from there on.
Alright. Okay, so before we go, let's go around the table and find out what your future plans for the sport is. So Lawrence, let's start with you. Where does iFly go from here after this competition? I mean, will you be looking to groom the next generation of champions?
Yeah, but I think at the strategic level, iFly Singapore will try to develop the sports in Singapore, likely through the younger generation, which is through the education part. We have created quite a number of educational programs, including a sports program for the schools. So other than that, we will continue to promote our membership program, to continue the building the community, the skydiver community. and from there we should be able to get more local competitors to go for such competition.
Well, Kira, what about you? It's your PSLE year this year. Does it mean you'll be taking a break from the sport before doing other stuff?
Actually, my exams are next week, my SA1.
Wow.
So we will be taking a break until my exams are over, which would be before the June holidays.
Is the same for you too, Ishan?
Yeah, because I've also module tests every 5 weeks.
Okay, what about other competitions in future perhaps that you're looking forward to take part in? What about them? Or nothing for now?
We're not sure. We're not sure.
Alright, that's no worries.
Well, that's all the time we have for you for Sports Zone today. A big thank you to our guests, the Indoor Skydiving team from iFly Singapore, Kira, Ishan and Lawrence. It was great speaking to you. And thanks as well to the organisers of the championship at Laguna National, David Ciclatera, who's the chairman of Parallel Media Group, as well as to the CEO of Laguna National, Patrick Bowers. Remember, the championship at Laguna National is happening this Thursday, where the likes of the top European and Asian tour golfers will be in action. So till the next time, I'm Noah Tan.
And I'm Noor Farhan.
Take care and bye for now.